Hello and welcome to week 5 of the Spring Pantry Challenge. So, how is your pantry coming along? How have you maintained the changes that you've made? Have you actually made any changes, or have you just been watching these videos as time goes through? Or perhaps you did it all in the first week and then you're just cruising through the rest of this. What I think, I don't know if you've heard the quote, how you do one thing in life is how you do everything. I'm sure there are a few things that doesn't actually relate to. But in terms of tackling this whole pantry issue, it's really been a very good metaphor, I think, for the health journey in general, as I've discovered as I'm doing this myself, because, excuse me, as it's brought out certain observations that I've had over time, and I've really seen, okay, so this is really triggering that sort of response as I'm trying to make changes. So what does week 5 actually represent when we're talking about this sort of health journey thing? So for me, I think week 5 has all the elements of week 3 in it, but without that same, oh my goodness, it's such a big mountain feeling that week 3 had. So if you recall, just a brief recap. Week 1, hey, this is fun, I'm going to do this. Week 2, yeah, I'm maintaining it, it's pretty cool. Week 3, oh, hang on, this is an everyday thing now. This is beginning to be work, and this is the thing I didn't want to tackle because it's huge. And then you have week 4, which was, oh, well, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And so now we're in week 5. Okay, we've accepted that this is going to be an everyday thing, even though the pantry clean is once a week. But if this was your exercise regime or any habit you're trying to break, or trying to bring food into healthier foods into your everyday life, or going to bed early, that's another really tricky habit to change. The week 5 mark it can be make it or break it, really, because life keeps happening, so again, we've got sick kids, or the grown-ups are starting to get the cold or whatever again. It's school holidays, so it's hard to get that block of time free for me to actually, contribute to this and other stuff. And obviously this is happening for other people too. I'm not special. And I think I'm the only person that this sort of thing becomes a challenge for. Otherwise, everyone would see a naturopath once and change their diet and lifestyle. Or everyone would read that one article and, never have to worry about their chocolate addiction again or whatever, So I think that's why it's not that easy. So the trick is, how do we make it stick? And how do we get over that it's cold outside, I don't want to get out of bed and do the exercise? Or I didn't go to the shops, so I don't have the broccoli, so I can't make the healthy stir fry I was going to make. Let's order some takeaway. Or, it's just too hard. I don't have any more room to put this stuff. Where am I going to put it? What is that barrier for you, and what are the tricky things coming up to make it harder for you to feel motivated about changing it? So I think that's really what week 5 is beginning to represent. Now, working through that stuff, that's why it's handy to have a naturopath to talk to when it comes to your health. Changing these habits, that's what we do. But it's also really handy to be talking to someone who understands that process and has actually had an awareness about that process themselves. It's all very easy to, like for example, before I got pregnant, I was reading a lot of the natural fertility stuff, and I thought, oh, wow, this is really amazing. When I get pregnant, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then I got pregnant, and you've seen some of the fruits of what cravings did for me and morning sickness and all of that as I've been cleaning out this pantry. And I realised, the advice of some of those people was just not actually practical. Like, it was very idealistic and very perfect, and I felt very guilty for not being able to follow it to the letter. And I think it was because it was conveyed in such a way which just wasn't actually practical for what I was going through. And so I think when you're trying to consciously change some of your health habits, it's not so much about the information that people give you per se, even though sometimes people actually do give you the useful information, and like we should, that's what we're qualified for. But I think an example is when I used to work in a pharmacy, I'd have a couple of clients who would come in, and I'd suggest they go see a naturopath or a herbalist, depending on what they were buying a lot of, and, see a lot of individual supplements and many supplements. You're thinking, do you really need that many? And they would be like, oh, why do I need to? I can just Google this stuff. That's just what they would do. And it's like, okay, you really don't understand that there's a lot more to this whole applying this information in your specific circumstances to help you keep going. And so I think over time, I really come to appreciate the benefits of understanding that support network and what my actual role as a naturopath is in a consult, but also as a health information consumer and someone who's trying to put this stuff in my life as my life situation keeps changing, as the kids grow up and as they start to sleep better or go to school, or before they're going to school, like now when they're at kindy and I've got not much time to myself, is really understanding how all these processes affect the information to give people, because it's all very well and good for me to sit there and spout and say, well, you just have to do this every day, you just have to do that every day, and you just have to go to bed at 10 o'clock, and it's not really about the food, it's about how you're stocking the pantry and are you making the time to do it, and actually having that habit which helps you really be motivated to do it and maintain that motivation long term. But yeah, so when we go through week 5, that's sort of what I'm thinking about. This really is the long term part of changing this habit and maintaining it. So your challenge, like usual, is to clean out another shelf in your pantry. And the moths haven't seemed to be an issue, but like we've done before, see if it looks dodgy, get rid of it. If you're on the fence, go back to week 2 and check out some of those links about how you can, check for things that are on the shelf about the pantry moths, if they're infected or not. And if it's out of date, get rid of it. If you find something really odd that you think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've got that in my pantry, take a photo and let us all see. And yeah, beyond that, that's it. This is week 5. So also, if you've got any thoughts about some of the stuff I've shared while I've been talking about changing habits and creating space and not filling that space up with stuff, again, I'd love to hear what you're thinking, because this stuff is really fascinating me now. I see all these articles on 10 vegetables to eat or 3 ways to get more water in your day or whatever. They're all the same article. And this sort of thing though, this actual long-term, everyday, how to do it thing, this is really the thing that I think people need when they come to see the naturopath. I don't think it's so much about how much water to drink and how many veggies and even getting recipes to some degree. I think it's this. It's, we know in advance this is going to get hard at some stage. The first consult and the follow-up, they're the easiest. It's actually the second, the third or the fourth consult that gets tricky, because that's when people start to think, oh, I don't need to do this anymore. This isn't, I'm not learning anything new, or it just, is there a tablet that will do this? Do I actually have to make the big change, whatever that big change is? And so that's what I want to figure out, how to help make that process more effective for people. And without expecting it, I guess my pantry has become a bit of the practice ground for that. So that's what I'll be thinking about while I'm cleaning shelf 5 this week. And maybe you might like to think about that too. So I'll chat to you when it's all finished. Okay, have a great rest of the day.